Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are the final bosses of pettiness, and they've repeatedly made bold but weird moves disregarding anyone who might be involved, and the details in this compilation are beyond creepy. When people have begun to assume Ryan and Blake are getting to understand how they've wronged Justin and the public's reaction to it, they got to pull another stunt, and this time, their pettiness led them to Saturday Night Live 50 to make an impression. Wow, how's it going? Great. Bye, what have you heard? Kevin Costner, who sat behind Ryan, wasn't amused at the effrontery it took for Ryan to keep making fun of Justin and Blake's drama. Kevin's expression didn't stop at being disgusted by Ryan's boldness to keep the news on them. Kevin also took the time to look at Blake to understand if they were both in on the pettiness, and it's obvious they always have a script to play, especially in a setting like this. Blake revealed that she was sexually harassed on the set of It Ends With Us. But right there, Ryan continued to joke about the situation, and with their expressions, they didn't look as distraught as they wanted people to believe. Ryan's plan is to keep playing the most innovative and funniest person in the room, which he thought he nailed well. Some moments from Deadpool showed just how far Ryan would go to mock the drama between Blake and Justin, because he believes that his career isn't at stake as much as Blake's is. However, it's alleged that Ryan was referring to Blake here, which probably proves the reason for his jealousy. Careful, you put your hand, she's 90% G-spot, she'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second and she starts shopping for a new papa. But it's even crazier for Ryan to have made a comeback at the SNL, where his ex-wife's husband, Colin Jost, works. Of all places in Hollywood where Ryan could play a funny trick, he chose a place where Scarlett would be to further prove his audacity to people who have been connecting all the dots in the lawsuit. It's almost like Ryan was telling people to start drawing out the parallels again, because it's clear he's just using the pettiness to overcome the shame that has come with this drama. Also, he was trying to get back at Colin for ever daring to poke fun at the drama, specifically surrounding the intimacy coordinator, by making the passive-aggressive appearance to let Colin know he's the one who has the right to keep joking about it. Don't go there. It's getting anatomical. And don't worry, we will have an intimacy coordinator present for that category. Scarlett also attended and even performed a skit while Blake and Ryan were in the audience. Being around Scarlett with the accusations of how Blake cheated with Ryan when he was married to Scarlett still flying around is an expensive audacity that only Ryan and Blake could afford. In another crazy situation, while Blake was advertising her alcoholic beverage line, Betty Buzz, she equated the model to an animal, and this wasn't just petty but disrespectful and insane. Here's a Betty Buzz. We don't test on animals. We test on men. That's a good boy. Drink up. It's obvious this advertisement put out by the official Betty Buzz page was written and approved by both Blake and Ryan, which is petty because treating the actor in the ad like a dog by calling him good boy and starting the intro with how they test on men and not animals is wild. Comparing a human to lab rats and a dog shows how low Blake and Ryan think of people around them and as subjects they can use in their experiments. Justin Baldoni is a subject in one of their perfected skill of hijacking films, so this isn't new to them. It's more embarrassing the level of pettiness Blake is sometimes willing to undergo to appear as funny as Ryan, who's now being exposed for always talking in performance mode and never truly genuine. However, Blake also took her pettiness home to her kids, especially her son Olin, when he clocked one by making him a special themed cake. My birthday cakes always have a little bit of a sense of humor. For my baby, I just did a giant set of... Interestingly, Blake understood that it might be wrong, but she was proud of being funny with the breast-themed cake for a baby. With us, sure, I feel like we'll haunt him for life. But what do they want at wine? Like he's not akin to Claire what he wants. Yeah, so boobs. Then, she continued to go down the line of the degrading joke as you won't believe what she said next. I'll show you a picture after the glowing meat of the cake, not of the cake. Up to also amazing. In that short moment, Blake joked about her body by trying to turn it around from the cake and ensuring the interviewer Zoe Ball understands that hers is also amazing just like the cake. And it's pretty shocking knowing she revealed how she was offended on set by Justin, whom she accused of making inappropriate comments about her body. At the same time, saying all of these things publicly without limitations is pretty insane. While this interview sounds cute and funny to many, Others think it reveals further how self-centered she is. From Ryan mocking Justin with the nice pool character to planning annoying Easter eggs and going as far as allegedly asking his agency to choose between Justin and them, it's no longer news just how low they could go. Before working with Justin, they weren't close to him, and he had never offended them before, but they were still delighted to make him the scapegoat. Interestingly, Ryan confirmed how aggressive they were in manufacturing Nice Pool to ensure he gets dealt with in Deadpool, which was their plan for Justin's career. Do I love playing Nice Pool? He's just so manufactured and so nice that, by the time his head is just blown clean off of his body, you're breathing a slight sigh of relief. You'd notice how Ryan emphasized admirable qualities like it's a terrible thing to have, which shows that they don't like to make friends, except it's with someone who does the same evil stuff as themselves. Like Ryan and I don't really have friends. Yeah. So, it makes sense. Yeah, I know, you would have liked two unlikable people. If you're doing something like this, just exposed how people are like pawns to them, and now, you will see how Blake almost did the same thing to Penn. As soon as Blake saw that Penn was casting Gossip Girl, she poisoned the whole cast about him because she was upset that Penn was hired. Blake didn't know Penn before then, but was more than happy to ruin his career, and she did precisely the same with Justin. It's wild how Blake enjoys just destroying people for the fun of it. The weird answer could be that Blake likes to insert her dominance on men like Penn and Justin to the point where she falls in love. The whole game is ridiculous, especially with how she went on to date Penn after attempting to destroy him on their first meeting. However, many people believe Blake is like this because she has lived a privileged life since she was a kid. She once appeared so proud to reveal her dad once bribed a choir director to put her in control and lead the music even though other great singers were in the choir. My parents had paid the show choir director to put me in the choir, because I can't sing or dance to save my life, but you were lead in a choir. I went in there, I was like, even as an adult, Blake still can't get over how much privilege she can access. Oh, where Britney Spears dressed the other night. I spent the morning with Baby's Face wearing my baby necklace that I've had since I was 10. Someone fed me a brownie today. This petty mindset is one of the reasons Blake and Ryan could make just a phone call to get featured in SNL or get anything they want despite not being so much liked by the public anymore. Also, in many leaked interviews from the past, we've seen Blake consistently explain how she strategically hijacks movies by pretending to be there to act until she's in and starts taking over. In another interview, Blake revealed how she did this when she planned on working with Reed Morano to direct the film in which she had written the script. However, during the meeting, Reed started discussing another script she loved. Blake investigated to find the details about this script and how to insert herself into it, bearing in mind that she was willing to abandon her project to come into another one. Was meant to do another movie instead, and we instead spent the entire night talking about this script that she was obsessed with, called The Rhythm Section. She wasn't hired as a director. I had never even heard of it. We both left the meeting, wanting to make The Rhythm Section instead. But the problem was we weren't hired. Barbara Broccoli had no idea who either one of us were. This story is so petty once you realize Blake convinced Reed to make the film's producer, Barbara Broccoli, hire them because she's more interested when an idea is being sold to her than writing her original stuff. So then I became obsessed with finding the script, and I tracked it down, and she didn't tell me the name of the script. She didn't tell me it was called The Rhythm Section. She just described the story. She described the character. She said it was the producers of Bond, and I knew that meant Barbara Broccoli. Blake revealed that she was obsessed with finding the story because she heard Barbara had good taste and wrote good movies. She even convinced Reed to leave the project she was working on so they could both make Barbara's film, The Rhythm Section. And I called Reed and I was like, listen, I know you're doing another movie, and I'm supposed to be doing another movie. Let's be honest, neither one of us want to be in those relationships, so let's do this movie instead. Eventually, Blake got what she wanted and was so proud of herself for the little scheme. And we just sort of begged her to hire us both. She didn't have anybody attached to the movie, and now she would have two, lucky her. And she fell for it, which is incredible. Blake says Barbara fell for her perfect plan to slip into the production, further showing how Blake sees these activities as thrilling games. And for someone who once revealed that she doesn't like being told no, it must have been fantastic to have things go her way every time. Unfortunately, The Rhythm Section did poorly, ranking 28% on Rotten Tomatoes. For a widely released production across 3,049 theaters, the film only made $2.8 million in its first 3 days after spending $50 million in budget, and the producers were very disappointed in the outcome. Paramount lost about $30 million as the movie became the lowest opening ever. With how Blake's pettiness almost ruined Justin's career after he hired her for It Ends With Us. Many people also believe Blake affected the production of The Rhythm Section in a way that ruined the film. Judging by how she forced herself to be hired, Another moment where Blake was passive-aggressive was in an interview where she didn't like being congratulated for her pregnancy. And you have a baby on the way, congratulations. What makes you say that? The shark told me. You know, you don't ever say that to a woman. Blake could have said thank you and moved on, but she enjoys playing with people until they think they've uttered the most awful thing, whereby she's the one who does that. This is similar to her resurfaced viral interview, where she congratulated the host on her bump. However, turning around to say this to another interviewer shows how petty Blake is depending on who she's dealing with. You can have my fourth-child for me. Yes, here yet live, she's the surrogate mother for it. Also in Deadpool, Ryan wasn't only petty in mocking and destroying Justin as he commented on Hugh Jackman's character Wolverine, saying, he's usually shirtless but he's let himself go since the divorce. Funnily enough, Wolverine has never been through a divorce in the films, making it clear that Ryan was referring to the actual divorce between Hugh Jackman and his ex-wife Deborah Lee Furness. It's also insane how Blake and Ryan knew about the other woman Hugh was seeing, but hid it from the wife and pretended to her face, knowing they didn't care about her feelings. In the blazing lawsuit, Blake had gone even lower with her pettiness, by initially asking Justin's lawyer to be gagged by the court to hide further evidence away from the public, and even went as far as to seek 2.5 years of phone records of Justin Baldoni, which goes even further than when they started having issues to prove a point despite having failed in many others she had tried to prove before.